So a couple options to start. Easy child pose, butt to your heels, forehead on the mat. Usually it's a good general rule. Let's ground in center to start practice. Knees wide, forehead on mat. If you want a little bit extra for a stretch, you could reach your arms on the blocks, and that is a lifted child pose. So it's a bigger stretch, targeting kind of your underarm, lat, and through your scapula here, okay? So either child pose just for a few breaths today, or this lifted variation of child pose. Just take a moment here, yogis. Try to relax your forehead down, butt toward your heels. Start to connect to your breath here. So if you're just joining, starting in a child pose, I did suggest a child pose with your arms on blocks. We've done that before. Starting to breathe here, guys. Big inhale in your nose. Big exhale. Another option that's nice in child pose is to massage your forehead against the ground. So you just kind of gently rock your forehead side to side. And just getting a little massage through the eyebrow, forehead, hairline area. All right, yogis, big inhale. Nice exhale, take your time. Let's come up to tabletop here. If you'd like, adding a wrist stretch. So you've got the opportunity to stretch your underarm now through the elbow. Turn your fingers to face your knees. So they turn out and then toward your knees. And this is a nice variation to cat-cow here to make that stretch a little bit bigger. As I inhale, I lift my chest, chin. Exhale, I round, tuck, round the chest, the chin. You don't have to do it with your fingers, okay? Facing my knees. Your call. Couple more breaths. I'm feeling a little tight this morning, so I'm taking mine really slow. Some mornings I would maybe go a little faster, okay? It's not bad to go fast. It just kind of depends on your intention, how you're feeling. Okay, last few cat-cows here. If you want to go a little side to side or draw circular motions, don't be shy. Please take your time here, yogis. Downward facing dog is next. We will be here a little bit longer. I want that big inversion quality. Tucking toes, lifting hips up and back. Using this to get a little bit more into your feet now. We got into the wrists, to the shoulders, getting into the legs a little bit more. So our child pose was more of like the bent knee getting into the legs. So bending the knee deep, we're flexing those hips. Here you're lifting those hips up and back. Pressing those heels a little bit more toward the floor, pedaling feet out, shaking head yes and no. Still kind of getting in your body, right? So you can take rest when needed. You can even lift the leg if that feels good already. If you're just joining, we're in downward facing dog. Remember, we want to breathe here, increasing the blood flow to the brain. Last about 30, 40 seconds here. Pressing the inner hand down. Again, you're also trying to press the big toe down. Sometimes you roll to the outer edge of the hand, press the inner hand down, or vice versa in the feet. Okay? Again, energetically lifting the sit bones up and back. So I don't want to be forward like a plank here. I want up and back with those hips. Almost taking the weight out of the hands and putting it into the feet. So a little bit extra time in that pose today. That's very challenging, especially early in class. You know, you're not too warmed up. It's a lot of weight on your shoulders, especially if you're not flexible there. Flexibility really helps down dog get a lot easier. All right, guys, let's bring it down to the knees. I want to bring it to this classic exercise. I want to do this about once a week. I kind of mix it through classes. On your inhale, press your left foot down, lift your right leg up, pull your belly in. Strong right hand, left arm forward. You guys know this one. Just don't let your hip lift, right? Turn that right hip down. Now, big inhale, don't arch your back. Exhale, core crunch. Inhale, exhale. So now you're going to see, we're going to come through a few movements to get a little bit more blood flow. As I like to say, kind of just lubricating the joints and then the cells, getting more of that fuel and flowing to the cells, the oxygen and the nutrients within the bloodstream. Get that body moving a little bit, okay? Okay, big inhale. Right knee, left hand down. Your ideal, you're getting to about 6 to 9 to start, working towards 12, 15 reps per side. Second side, remember, push your right foot down and then lift your left leg up. And then get strong and grip your left hand and reach your right arm forward. That is the big inefficiency people are doing. We have to really ground down with what's on the floor, okay? Don't let that back arch, okay? Big inhale, pull the belly in, straighten those limbs, reach out, exhale. You guys know this one, go ahead. Get into it, breathe. I'd like to suggest, when you're thinking of a few exercises to do, it's hard to beat this one. It's full body. It has so many opposing asymmetries within the body. It's fantastic. So if you have a few minutes to exercise and you're looking for something to add to like a daily routine, look no further than this one, okay? And we do it in plank, we do it in like warrior 3, we do it in even down dog sometimes. There's a lot of spaces to find this type of movement. All right, let's meet down in tabletop position. So now we're gonna go a little bit bigger with movements, okay? I want you to think Kriya Yoga. You guys know that's one of my favorite styles, the Kriya. It's kind of a mix of Hatha and Vinyasa in a sense. I'm gonna use my blocks to make this a little bit easier. Downward facing dog is where we're gonna go now. And I'll give you the option to start here. Right foot steps forward outside my blocker hand, okay? Right arm goes out and up. So I'm starting this twisting process, all right? Right hand goes down, right foot goes back. I drive the hips up and back. Down dog. Left foot's gonna go forward, finding my lunge. Inhale, left arm goes out and up, so it's a twist. Left hand goes down, left foot goes back. So another option here. So it looks like this, yogis, okay? I'm twisting, stepping forward, stepping back. Left foot forward, twisting across that leg, back. Now, if you want a little bit more, watch me. I'm gonna do it more from a plank. So it's a little bit more of a strength variation. I can even add a push-up now, starting to add that kind of chaturanga movement, where I'm stepping back to plank as opposed to the dog, and then I'm adding that push-up. Either way, it's a step forward and back with a rotation. Repeating the hips up and back to dog are gonna be a little bit more towards flexibility. It's kind of like a dynamic hamstring stretch. So a couple more. Again, the idea is 6 to 9 is how you start. A little less range of motion your first reps. You build range of motion and speed, and eventually work towards 12 to 15 reps. In a sense, you do, if you're feeling tight, tired, coming off injury, you do less rounds, you kind of let your body get into it, and then as we go here, you're gonna do more rounds into kind of where you're fatiguing, okay? So instead of doing vinyasas, like we normally do. I'm mixing in these type of movements here instead, okay? Now something a little different. Instead of your cobra, please watch me, down to your knees. This is something I've been trying to work in, is the camel. Now, first round, let's be easy. I'm gonna use my arms behind us because they were just going here and here and here and here. Now let's bring them behind. So it's not gonna be a big bend, right? I'm gonna intertwine the fingers. First big chest stretch here. Roll the shoulders back. What I want to look out for here, yogis, is this arching in the back. The butt's going to stick out. I want to try to bring the hips more forward and lift my chest up with a cobra to the sky. Now, you could tuck your toes. You know, I got that question the other day. Like, am I supposed to tuck my toes? They're just different versions. Roll the shoulders back. Lift the chest. Try to breathe here. See if you can squeeze your butt a little bit. Okay, that's important. Squeeze those glutes a little bit. Okay, now bring the arms back forward, down to your tabletop. We are going to do a second round of the step forward. It's called dynamic pigeon, a little different today, guys. So if you'll watch me for a moment, be careful. I'm going to use my blocks in the highest setting. Don't let them get too wobbly. Don't, let them fly up from underneath your hand. I'll do a middle setting here. If you'll watch me, the idea is to go from dog to pigeon. Okay, so I'm in downward dog. If you'll watch, right shin forward, hips drop down, chest lift. So here is my cobra form right now. I'm not going to do the cobra as we normally do. You can lift your chest, press your feet down, reach your left heel back, and then I'm going to lean forward a little, press down dog. Okay, so we already did the leg lifts in our tabletop. My left shin goes forward. Inhale, lift the chest. So here's my back bend, pigeon upright. Okay, a little bit more thinking movement in and out of pigeon. Pigeon tends to be a space in yoga where we're consistently just holding and stretching. So I want you to get better at kind of going in and out of it in a dynamic sense. A functional range of motion, yogis, is one that I can move in and out of with strength and control, okay? So I'm alternating my pigeon leg forward. As I lift my chest forward, up, I also kind of reach my back leg back, okay? Now go ahead, we're alternating sides, the dynamic pigeon. That's one of the kind of main principles of intermediate yoga. It's kind of like, let's take the things we do a lot in more beginner levels, but put a twist on them. People do pigeon all the time, but then you get them moving in and out of it like this, especially the upright pigeon, what we call like a back bending pigeon. It's such a different experience in a posture you are really familiar with. A lot of times that's what people say. It's like beginner postures done in a more difficult way, longer holds, things like lifting heels where you normally don't, or closing your eyes, same principle poses in intermediate. And advanced yoga is really where we break down the boundaries of what you should and should not do, okay? It's not really like gymnastics. It's just more like training the body in more asymmetrical ways, okay? All right, guys, so what should we do here? Probably a nice little symmetrical work, all right? I'm gonna bring you to plank now. I wanna tighten up that body because we did two big mobility drills, lunge and twist, pigeon and back bend. I'm gonna do forearm plank just to give your wrist a little break, okay? You're gonna slowly walk your feet back. We're gonna come to that forearm plank. Now, I'll let you decide if you want to stay here, okay? I did mention symmetry. If you want to try this, it's called serratus presses. So now I'm working scapular work. If you'll watch me here, I'm going to drop my chest between my arms, and then I'm going to go up. Just notice there's not much movement except, in essence, what's happening, yogis, is my shoulders pull back and then spread forward. So what's happening is this. It's called a serratus press in plank. So we're going to try this. Now, if you can't do that, it's confusing. It looks like this. It's not a cat-cow, okay? My shoulders roll back and together behind me, and then my back spreads. So we haven't done this one in full plank in a while, okay? It's not easy. So chest drops down, back squeezes, back spreads. Protraction, retraction. It's called the straight arm scapular work. You know, we're often doing these pulls and these pushes, but we're lacking the subtle awareness of pulling our shoulders back, okay? Continue, guys. Sorry, guys, puppy emergency. All right, let's get down to the chest. So first big stretch here for your chest. I want you to think of this like a back bend. I want to start including this more in these classes. I kind of really stick to it in the flexibility classes. But it's one of my favorite stretches. Right arm reaches out, roll to your right. Okay, try to relax your head down. We just did really strong work in here, okay? Work here, work here. Now the arm is in that big, what we call the transverse stretch where the arms spread. As yogis say, open up your collarbones. Yogis always say, like, spread your collarbones. They're both like terrible anatomy cues, but you know, yogis and their anatomy. In a sense, we're pulling that arm back here. Now, if it's easy, bend the arm 90 degrees. Think of this as like your first scorpion. You know how in down dog, they'd say, lift your right leg up and open the hip? In a sense, it's a replacement for that, all right? Stretching the anterior spiral line, all right? And then, you know, take your time. We're going about a minute per side here. I suggest doing your tighter side more. So we'll go second side when you're ready. Got about another minute 15 total. And just to be clear, if I may demonstrate, the first option is here, right? It's always lateral rotation, straight arm. Second option is lateral rotation, bent arm. So if you peek up at me, it's the same stretch except with your elbow bent. Notice my elbow and shoulder are still at the same height. This is really the only change I made. Now, third option is actually meter rotation. So I turn my left palm up. First is here, third option's here. Now, the fourth option's there. Now, I'm getting a little too crazy, but you guys know I like to give you some food for thought for your private, personal practice. And then we go fifth option here, sixth option here, right? So on your own, don't be shy to change it up a little bit. As long as you're kind of opening the chest and the arm is pulling back, that's all I really care about right here. On more so than average, I want you in lateral rotation. Last 20 seconds, guys. All right, guys, back to your chest. If you want a quick cobra up dog, feel free. We're going to meet back in down dog. There's also the option of child pose. All right, now more standing yoga, more leg strength. We did some scapular stuff. We did some of the leg mobility drills. Now we're ready. All right, downward dog. Big inhale. Big exhale. This round of dog is a little bit more disciplined and active, all right? Sometimes down dog is feel-good release. Sometimes it's discipline work. Very different kind of effects and mental state, all right? On your next inhale, bend knees, look forward. Slowly hop or walk your feet to the front of your mat. Either way, it's just intention getting forward, okay? Inhale, half lift, lengthen the spine. Weight leans toward your toes, please, okay? Exhale, forward fold. Take 3 breaths, intertwine your forearms. The twisting on the chest was more of a back bend. Here, we're more in that now forward bend space. Coming to the symmetry. Not holding you there long. Slowly, chair pose, bend knees. Go ahead, arms high. So this is a little subtle movement in the chair. I want you to try to notice where your arms move. Big inhale. Notice how both hands go down to the right. Notice my knees start to buckle left. Keep them centered. Inhale, lean back, reach up. Exhale, both hands go left. It's a little bit subtle difference. Sometimes we twist like this. Sometimes we twist upright. Inhale, chair. Exhale, get a little lower, twist right. Inhale, up. Exhale. I like to find ways. Sometimes chair's too rigid, yogis. I like to have these subtle movements where you're having to kind of adjust and adapt within the leg strength, the weight. There's many things you could do here, right? Big inhale, stand up, please. Squeeze your butt, reach your arms high. Left knee lifts. Hold, breathe. So we're in, I call this tree pose. It's not really like a classic tree, but I do love it as a tree pose. Gonna be more active. Okay, as soon as I put that foot on that leg, muscles can shut off. So I want to work that strong hold in the tree. Now I want you to really go slow here, guys. You're at the front of your mat. You can bring your hands to your hips for prayer. Bend your standing knee. Let's shoot. We're already in Warrior 3, okay? Now, well, how do I make Warrior 3 a little bit softer if feel like you're not ready? You bend the standing knee a lot. That's the key. And you don't have to go all the way down. You just come here a little bit. Before I was leaning back a little bit, the knee in front. Now I'm leaning forward with the leg behind. There's the contrast, the idea of the counter kind of energy. The goal is to be on one leg for some endurance in the two opposing positions. We're going to step our left foot back, and then we're going to find our lunge. Okay? Go ahead, find that lunge. Couple breaths. So we're in the standing fundamentals, the chair, the balance, the lunge. Close your eyes, yogis. Breathe, reach up higher. If you want a little bit more, you could cross your right forearm in front of your left, turn your palms together. So I have this kind of winding, intertwined hand. Just a little something different for your hands if you want to try it. Big inhale. Go slow. Hands come to hips or prayer. Slowly shift forward with your chest. Tiptoe forward. Drive the left knee up to the chest. Maybe reach your arms back up. That's where it started, right? Left foot down. Squeeze your butt, lift your chest. Second side, right knee lifts. This is a little bit longer of a hold this morning, yogis. Hold. Remember that you want tension within the feet. So just notice if that kind of ankle is just lazy. Either flex it or point it. I don't care. Either or is fine. I want some active energy in that ankle. Hold position. Like when I did this yesterday, I put a little weight on my ankle, right? So I put like 25 pounds, but I'll hook like a kettlebell, and then I'll hold this. And boy, am I feeling it today, right? So if this ever gets easy, you know, just buying like a 10-pound kettlebell there is a really good way to build strength a lot faster, all right? It's also going to challenge your back line to stabilize better. So adding a little weight is really good, especially for people who aren't using it, maybe the yogi people, okay? Now go slow. Hands come to hips or prayer. I want you to shoot that top leg under and back, bringing the chest more forward and down. And now you're in a Warrior 3 type position. I like to mix in Warrior 3 earlier because sometimes we have to do all these lunges and all these step forward and step backs. I want to get us right into Warrior 3 sometimes, just like life. Sometimes you're not ready to bend over, but you have to. You don't warm up to bend over in the kitchen, but then we do it in yoga constantly. So let's work it, okay? So now you're in your Warrior 3. Breathing. Yeah, basically the idea is to be on one foot until you have to kind of quit. All right. Sometimes shifting from the standing upright to the warrior three kind of gives you a little reset. You gain a little bit more endurance because the muscular tension and strain has changed. Right foot at the back of your mat. Now find your lunge. Both feet are down. Take a moment if you need. You know the deal here. You bend and straighten a little. And then eventually you reach your arms up. If you wanted the extra, with your arms up, your left wrist goes in front. You turn your palms together. It's kind of this like prayer position almost, right? But your wrists are crossed, turning back toward each other. Okay, so those arms are above my head like that. And I'm really pressing the palm, thumb together, reaching those arms up, okay? That's an option. It's a nice little kind of brain teaser for your arms. Yeah, so this is mostly strength. This is all strength yogis, these last three. Last four really, chair, tree, warrior three, and lunge, all right? You're gonna get a stretch here in a moment, stay with it. Lunge is just one of the most practical exercises. If you're on your morning walk, you do a couple of these. Especially if you're not gonna do like yoga that day or something, right? Just do a couple of lunges, a couple or 20. Really good exercise to build strength, guys. Come back through warrior three. Come back to standing really slow with that top knee into the chest. Maybe reach your arms up just to seal it in where it started. And then nice and slow, right foot down, arms down. We're gonna step open wide. So now we come into stretching. It is a little bit more of the active stretching. The triangles, all right? So we go really big lateral, and now we're gonna go for that first big kind of static closed chain twist in the revolved triangle. Right foot turns out, nice and classic here. Left toes turn in. All right, so I just have my blocks ready, setting up triangle. About heel to heel alignment. Some people it's a little bit more like heel arch. Some people it's actually the back foot's in front of it. I find that anatomy plays a role in how you set up your form. Okay, so we all have different bone and joint structure. Triangle, arms wide. Drop your right hip down. Notice my right foot is turned out, yogis. Okay, my left toe is even facing right. And let's do this. Reach out. It's a lateral movement now. Find your block. All right, let's hang out in this pose now. Lengthen your right side body. Engage your legs. You can even take your top left hand and kind of reach it under your rib and rotate, kind of pull the body up and open, okay? A couple more breaths here, guys. I want you to remember that the arm down is an assist, and if we put too much weight in the hand, your core and your legs can disengage and get lazy. We don't want that. We actually want to learn to activate our legs and our core here more. The blocks, in a lot of ways, create very bad habits. They can also create a lot of good habits, create more length, more lift, less compression, less joint strain in certain ways, but it can also create more joint strain in other ways. So people who use blocks, they tend to like shift weight to the hand and they shut down all this. We actually want to engage our legs and learn to try to use less of the block in the hand. Okay? Now bend your right knee, rise up. We're just going to go side to side. That's the traditional Hatha. Left toes out, right toes also angled. Remember that the alignment of your feet side to side can be slightly different. That heel to arch stuff is not accurate really for every person, especially in a lateral posture, okay? Front and back's different. Drop your left hip down and let's do it, yogis. Let's find our triangle. I want you to think stretching, but still activating your body, okay? Look at my bottom left shoulder. Do you see how it's near my ear? Watch. I roll it down and away. See that? Shoulders away from ears. Lengthen through your core. Engage your legs. Remember the top arm today can kind of reach under. Open that chest more to the sky. The idea is to stack your body so your left bottom hip has to kind of come forward and the upper body kind of leans back. Because What you see a lot is this, guys. People are like that. So if I was directly facing or like this too much, watch the shift. You see that? I'm not here. I'm more here. The upper body is over top your front leg. Last breath for 3. You know, triangles tend to be taught in beginner yoga, but I find for like a lot of people, this is a very big hyper range that's not normally developed in the body. Even for a rather seasoned yogi, there's certain days where triangles can be really big work, okay? And it can be really strenuous in the body. So at any time that comes into play, you just bend that knee instead and you're here, all right? That's why I teach side angle a little less. It's a little bit more of like a beginner, okay? Now go slow, let's rise up. Now, we're gonna go right into the second round of triangle revolve. It does come with pyramid before. The pyramid today is gonna be moving. I'm gonna pivot to face my right side. So notice, I'm not here open hip. Set up for pyramid with my right foot in front of me about hip-width distance. My left foot angles forward. Now for this one, I want to try something today with you guys a little bit different. My right hip goes back. I'm going to hinge and find my blocks. Now watch what I'm going to do here, yogis. It's a little floss that we're going to work. I'm going to pivot on the ball of my back foot, bend my knees, lift my chest more, and then I'm going to straighten the hips up and back. I'm going to inhale, exhale. Straighten those legs and engage the thighs. We always say just get in pyramid and work on engaging your legs. But if we work on kind of bending and straightening, you're going to get that better leg activation most likely. Now, in practice, you do your hands on your hips, right? So here, here. And yeah, I'm bent over. I'm doing this bending of the knees and then straightening of the knees. I'm lifting, pivoting on the back foot, then I'm sealing that back foot. So it's this moving in and out of bent over pyramid. It's a little different, right? It's not really like classic yoga approach, but just applying some of those exercise physiology principles. Now go slow. Next time you straighten your legs, tag hands on blocks. If they're not, right hip back, flex your right foot and forward fold. This is our biggest hamstring stretch of class. Right hip back, yogis. That is key here. We don't want that right hip coming forward. Now that's only an in-between posture. The real pose is the triangle. I'll demo. Inhale, half lift. Left hand might walk to the right. Right arm goes out and up. All right, yogis, let's work here. You got to kind of decide what's going to be the work in your yoga practice today and what's going to be the feel-good stuff. Or as I like to say, how am I going to torture myself in yoga today? You got to find a way to do that, guys. What's going to be your peak intensity of mind and body in your wellness routine today? Where are you going to get uncomfortable? Where are you going to push it? There's got to be those moments. And then, it can't all just be, feeling good and I go into these yoga teachers sometimes, and I went to a class Tuesday night, and the whole time the teacher's like, make it feel good. It has to be yummy. And I get that. You want some of that, but that's a dangerous game, always just kind of having to make it feel good. All right. Life's not like that. We got to learn to go into these difficult spaces of mind and body and exist in there and be comfortable in those spaces. Get out of there, guys. Top hand down, slowly rise up. And you might want to take your blocks. We want to pivot to the side and then forward. So I set up here, I take a few moments, left hip back because left leg is forward. All right, and then I'm going to start to hinge. Notice I didn't bend my knee. And our first little exercise here, yogis, I'm not going to forward fold. I'm going to try to keep, I don't know if I said that. You're going to try to keep your chest more parallel to the floor. Not easy. I'm going to bend my knees, straighten my legs. My hips kind of come forward and down, straighten my legs. It's almost like a cat-cow in the spine, okay? Again, no hands on the floor eventually is where we're working towards. Don't let that front knee go too far forward, okay? I've had you do this a lot, actually, like up here. So usually we do this here. Now I have you doing it bent over. I do it a lot here too in Warrior 3. Look, double bent, double straight. It's actually more similar there. I don't think I've taught it in a while in the pyramid form. It's really good to teach your body the space between bent and straight as we are bent over. Pause in your straight leg, forward fold. And I like to suggest flexing the front foot. That's going to lengthen the back line more. And don't forget, we're working anterior tilt here. If this is our peak hamstring stretch, the goal is to bring your sit bones and tailbones up and away, back up and away. You want to think the cow hips. Because posterior tilt here and rounded spine and flexion, you're not going to get any hamstring. Now inhale, half lift. This is the final part. Right hand might walk to the left, kind of inside that foot. Eventually, actually, your right hand will go outside that left foot, but let's not force that. From your core, twist to the left. So as my left hip pulls back and down, my legs engage, and I twist my chest to the left. Left arm might go out and up. And let's work here, yogis. I want you to go slow, yogis, please. Bend your standing knee with top hand down and rise up. Pivot to the side. So what are we going to think? We're going to think symmetrical. We're going to go for the goddess. All right? I'm going to do this. We're not going to do Warrior 2 today. Always think of this as kind of a substitute. Doing triangle and doing goddess, you're going to hit very similar, right? The adduction. Similar front and back leg there. So let's do it today, guys. Let's do our wide-legged goddess. It's been a while. And I'm going to add a shoulder release as we sit here in our beautiful throne. It's called arms are going to go wide. Now, here, we did something like it earlier. I want to bring my hands in front, bring my left wrist on top. Okay, see that? And then I'm going to turn my palms to face each other, all the while you're sitting in your goddess. Now, my hands intertwine. My left wrist is on top. I'm going to bring the hands under the chin. I teach this in flexibility a lot. And then I'm going to reach those arms forward. And then I'm going to go back and under and forward. Easier there. Forward is where you get the challenge. So you're going to really feel a lot probably around the bottom wrist, or the top wrist, excuse me. It starts on the top, and then you bring it, and then it shifts more. It's still the top there, but it's turned around. Last few. Oh, stay in goddess, yogis. Stay in goddess. This is like the end of our peak legs. You are going to get the opportunity for bridges, but this is really where I want the legs to just, you want your mind to go crazy because there's so much stimulation in the legs, okay? Now, in between sides here, remember what side you put on top? Left, right? We're going to straighten our legs, turn our toes in, come up. Now, if you want to go for the other big shoulder stimulator, shake your wrist out for a moment. We're going to go left arm up. It's called, if you're going to do headstand, now's your opportunity. Go Mukasana today. Feet are parallel, about 3 feet apart, maybe 4 if you're going for it. Left arm goes up with a towel, a strap, and reaches down the spine, okay? Left arm hugs in, right arm goes out, palm face behind me, and then grab the shirt. Walk the hands up the spine. See if you can grab a little bit higher on your strap. Bend your knees, lift your chest, and then we forward fold. Really big stretch here, guys. We're hitting our shoulders, arms, and our wrists. Don't forget to bend your knees if you need to. You do not need to stretch straight leg. If you stretch straight leg more, you're bringing the tension through your spine and your lumbar. If you bend your knees, you're going to take it actually more into the legs. Legs. Good girl. get one more of these rounds. Release your arms, bend your knees. Let's rise up. Okay, so we're here. Starting with goddess. Boom. 2 rounds, right? Can't just do one. Right wrist on top, intertwine your fingers. Turn your palms to face each other. Now stay in your goddess. This is literally your last really big leg challenge, guys. So I want you to go, in a sense, crazy. Try to press your big toe down in goddess. Don't let your knees buckle in. So you got to actively kind of keep the knees open. Whereas revolve triangle, you're kind of scissoring together. And here you're scissoring together, triangles. Now they're kind of actively working on opening, okay? Don't forget the right hand is on top, second side, and you're here. And you just stay deep in that goddess for basically as long as you can handle. Does everyone feel that through the wrists? It's one of my favorite ways to really stretch these wrapping fascial stabilizers. Remember, we're doing so much of this pronation, supination. That's what we're stretching. In a lot of the classes, I'll have you do stuff like this. It's pretty much the same principle, right? Where you're here. Sit low, big inhale. Really nice job, guys. Let's stand up, turn our feet in. You're welcome to shake it out, circle your hips a little bit, right? We got our last standing posture here before we take it down to the ground. Right arm reaches up if you're going to try it. Palm faces behind. I reach down the spine. You can do that little tricep pull to start. Left arm out. Remember, this is a really big stretch. So you can just do hands on your hips for second forward fold. There's also this. It's a little bit easier. You can just go here instead. Kind of like this. Forward fold. Still going to get a nice shoulder stretch. Or you're going to get that left arm out, palm face behind. Hands are going to reach toward each other. Really big approach to a stretch. Let's do it. Last few breaths. And you get your second round to handstand at the wall or headstand if you're going to try something a little bit bigger in the inversion form. Really the main goal is to, bending over here will calm your nervous system more, okay? And it's a nice just symmetrical opener for the back line where the triangles are so asymmetrical in the forms, okay? Always remember that, guys. Whenever you're doing something really one-sided, it's good. It's like a vinyasa plays that same role. Tighten up your back body, tighten up your front body. Stiffen it up, lengthen it, shorten it. So it's just a kind of palate cleanser, we call it. Okay, and that can come in many forms. Let's release those arms. Let's rise up to standing and step to the front of our mat. All right, guys, so one little option here. If you want to take it down to a quick yogi squat or chair, granted, we just did 2 forward bends, so we won't hold this too long. But if you want to widen your feet, turn them open a little bit, come down to your yogi squat. Option, crow pose. I like to throw in an arm balance here. Not too many handstand or even planks today. So if you want to go strong in those arms, you got the crow now, okay? Hands turn out, hands plant. You just stretched your wrists and your shoulders like crazy, okay? Plant hands, elbows in. Now let's shift some weight into them. Look forward, spread the upper back. I know some of us want to work things like crow, but it's kind of difficult. Another nice option for crow type work, I could just sit on my heels here. Notice how I put the blocks down right next to my hips. If you want to try something like this, it's a nice substitute. Press straight down. I try to lift my knees up to my chest. So I keep my feet down, but I'm taking weight out of them. From the side, our crow substitute looks like this. You see how it looks very much like crow? Look, and then boom, you're feeling good. You lift one leg. See that? And that's going to be really good at building some of the strength for crow. I do got to use my blocks. Doing it here, you could do it on the floor. but it's going to be more difficult. That block is going to create a little bit more of that push down. It's going to shorten the line, so it's easier for you to push down, right? All right, guys, I do want to take time for the reclining yoga today. So we're going to make our way to our butt. So as you can see, no vinyasas today. We're skipping that style. I want to do one little kind of ab tightener. If there's one you want to do, you know, a full kind of boat work, that's great. Or what you'll try today is laying on your back. Lift the chest. If you feel good, lift your feet. I like to just hold hollow body. You know, I like to have beginners and intermediates just work on holding hollow body. We didn't do much plank, so holding something like this for a good minute and a half is fantastic. You want more, you go here. You want more, you do a little pulse. A little pulse, yogis, not a lot of momentum. So I'm not going to do a big twist right here. I'm not going to do lateral abs. You're more than welcome to add a little bit of that if you want. You got about another minute here, guys, and work here. We're at the end of any work. I'm going to give you 2 bridges or wheels if you want to go for it. But this is your opportunity to really hit your abs. Please make it smooth, quality muscular contractions. Don't be like bouncing around like you're having a seizure or something. You got to really be smooth with your muscular contractions, yogis. Bouncing too much momentum is going to do way more likely to like hurt your back. Crunches aren't bad for you. It's more like how we're doing them, yogis. Is your back arching? Is your neck really straining? Let's meet on the back, everyone. Shake it out. Windshield like your knees. Laying on your back, our final back bends here. I do want something. We didn't do locust. We didn't do many strengthening extensions, back line. We have to do active bridge, yogis. I teach this stuff a lot, and I tend to give options, and then people will go what to like. Yesterday I was teaching my class, and I gave options for back bends, and multiple people are still doing this. That's not wise, all right? That is a little piece. People want abs, I get it. I'm telling you right now that your glutes are probably more important, okay? For the average person, because they're less developed, less worked. We gotta hit that hip thrust today. Arms down by side. If you want to block between your thighs, press your lower back down. If you're ready, I want you to go for wheel pose. You could grab the outer edges of your mat, press the big toe down, squeeze your heels toward your shoulders. These are our final 2 really strenuous poses. Don't let your back arch. Try to drive the pubic bone forward and up. If you're feeling really good, widen your feet a little bit. Flip your hands over your shoulders, hug your elbows in, and then we're going to go for that wheel. Nice. Yeah, wheel pose, it doesn't get much more difficult than wheel. You usually want to be rather warmed up. The full body movement, stretching, and strengthening, okay? Because it's like a hyper bend in a very active form. All right, and then if you're doing wheel, you're probably going to come out a little bit sooner, but go very slow and take a neutralizer in between, please. And this is our last kind of active pose. When you're done with your first bridge, I want to do one more bridge. If you want to add, you know, my favorite, the sliding bridge or a one-legged bridge or the angled bridge. We did goddess, so you don't really need to go there. The goddess was our main dose of, you know, the rotational glutes. And the
Warrior 3 with the beginner table moving was our main hip extensions and the straight leg form. So here it's the bent knee hip thrust. So it's really glute maximus focused. All right. Last round. After this, we're going to take a couple stretches to close class. So give one last big effort, please. We will relax more after. Today for me, working out is going to consist of balance. I'm going to do actually a lot of wheels today. I like to have like wheel be like a center of my exercise routine every now and then. And it's good to add on a day where you're not doing like really strenuous legs, because it's really going to peak out the stimulation of the nervous system in a very unique way. All right. So some of you are still going in your bridge. Take your time. Looks like my wheel people are done here, unless you're going to do another round. But I want to make sure I give enough time to stretch here. It's been a pretty active class, and we want to take time to unwind, calm our nerves. I am going to give a little bit different stretches. We're done with hamstrings. I'm not even going to do pigeon because we did something like that. I want to do that front line stretch, and then I'm going to do a meter rotator. So let's start on our back with our knees into our chest. Take a moment. Remember, knees into the chest starts here, and it goes to happy baby if you're feeling good. It goes to plow if you're feeling great. Those are all kind of in the same position. Here, here, second, and then here is third, okay? Last few breaths in our first kind of stretch, entering our unwinding practice. Now I want you to go really slow. If you're still working a pose in that first form, you just do what you need to do. All right, you don't need to do all these stretches here in the end if something's feeling good, okay, or calling to you. Now go slow. We're going to roll onto our back and widen our feet. Let our knees drop left. Left foot goes on the outer right knee. Widen your arms. Maybe look to the right. So I'm here, yogis, okay? Knees drop left, left foot on right thigh. Now let's go to our breathing, breath work. All right, I haven't been talking too much about breath work today. Let's bring it back to our awareness. One of my favorite times to practice breath work is right before I fall asleep and right before I get up out of bed in the morning. So I set one alarm to kind of wake me up, but then I usually lay in bed and I have a second alarm that's 15 minutes later, and I try to like wake up with the first one, but lay in bed almost like a meditation. It's one of my favorite ways to start my day off. So I don't get up out of bed unless I have to go to the bathroom. Then I go quick and I get back for my 10 to 15 minute, and I do my breath work then. So I'll lay in bed and I'm so relaxed still, I'm like half asleep, right? And I can really focus on breath. Breath is so profound then because the body hasn't been really stimulated, or the eyes. So it's still dark in my room and it's still kind of subtle and quiet. And then I'm slow, deep inhale, and I do my breath work, breath holds. Same at night. I'll turn the night, I'm feeling very relaxed, tired, and I'll start with some breath work. A little bit more stimulating breath in the morning. I love doing breath. It's a really good way to start your day if you want to try it. You set kind of alarm 15 minutes before your real alarm. Okay. Now do your second side if you haven't. Some of you are ahead of me. That's fine. So it's a meter rotation. This is our rotational hip stretch today. All right. Knees go right foot on outer left thigh, arms go wide and up. I like the arms like this here. So not like this. This is we already did enough of this. So if I go here, it's pec minor. It's good to know the difference, 45 degree versus 90 in the armpit. So you want to go here with the arms. You're gonna get a big difference there. If that's too much, you're gonna do something like that. Deep breathing, yogis. So there's been quite a lot of stretching, right? We did a lot of shoulder releases. We did the front chest, we did the Gomukhasana, we did the wrists. What else did we do? The dynamic horizontal abductions. Your shoulders have been really worked. Your hips have been really stretched as well. But I would say if we're lacking something, it'd probably be that front thigh stretch. We didn't bend the knee really deep in any stretch today. So I think it'd be good to add that in. That's how I choose my stretches. I don't just kind of, that's how I pick what's coming in class. What do we least stimulating in what way?
So you're going to finish up that medial. You need a few more breaths probably, but I start demonstrating. Now, this is a more intermediate way to approach a front body stretch. What I do is I roll onto my right, reach back with my left hand and grab my left foot. This is our easier version, yogis. The key is to pull the heel to the butt, drop the knee down. As I pull my femur bone, my leg bone behind me, my knee, it's going to arch my back, just like a lunge would if the thigh's going back. I want to pull my ribs in more. That creates the stretch, the idea of heel to butt, but the leg going back as I fight against the arch, pulling my ribs in, okay? So if you want to go big, be careful, all right? I'm in this stretch. I'm going to roll to my back slowly, and notice the top of my foot starts to go down. This is an intermediate attempt at this pose, because usually what we'll do is go here and lean back. And the whole time, the leg is in a very, what we call sagittal closed chain. It's much easier to get in upright back, but I had you come from your side already in the laying back. And I don't want the inside edge of my foot to go down. I want the top of my foot to go down. Okay, so it is a more dangerous exit or entrance. Last couple breaths on your first side, either on your side or on your back. I tried to express the idea that people overstretch their outer hips and their hamstrings.
And we did so much of that today that I think it's important to stretch the front thigh or the front hip flexor. I used kind of pigeon for that. And I used, what else? There was one more in there, to stretch the hip flexors. Restorative bridge could be a good substitute here if you need to, okay? Second side. After this, I'll just maybe suggest one last thing, soft and easy, and then we'll kind of make our way into Shavasana at that point. So you basically roll onto your left, your right hand reaches back, grabs the top of your right foot.
A very simple way to do this on your morning walk is you just go like this, boom, same thing. Like I said, femur going back and ribs in against it.
So you guys know I'm a manual therapist. Tomorrow I'm going to someone's house, giving them a body work session, 2 people on Saturday, 1 to 2 on Sunday. It's my other main job. I get to touch a lot of people's bodies, muscles, and I can see the conditions in tons of different people. But what tends to be the common, imbalances is the thighs are over tight, particularly the outer thighs, and the glutes are underdeveloped, particularly glute maximus. And everyone just stretches their hamstrings, their child pose or yoga squats and their straight leg hamstring stretches, and keeps tightening up the front by doing things like squatting. So that's why I was saying, you got to do your bridges and then you got to stretch your front. Those two are working together right now to create more harmonious muscular stabilization throughout the body, or it's called tensegrity is the real term. We're trying to add tension to certain spots, tightness, strength, and then release some over tensions in other areas. And it tends to be too tight in the thighs front and too weak in the back glutes. All right. I want you to remember that, yogis. All right, guys, when you're done there,
My final option to lead us into Shavasana You could do anything else if you want, but knees open, soles of the feet together. And I'm going to do this really nice closing with the block under the head. And you get that neck traction, especially if you didn't do the plow where you swing your legs up over your body. What happens in yoga is we hold the head up a lot as we bend over, and these muscles are getting overstrained. So I can stretch them in the traction, or even rock a little side to massage to release. Because a lot of times, whether it's chair, warrior three, down dog, plank, the back of the neck muscles are really overstraining, okay? So we got about another 45 seconds here, and then I'll do true Shavasana. If there's anything else you want to do, throw your legs up the wall, throw a block under your chest instead, or a block under your butt, go for it.
I often talk about the teacher who really expressed the idea of intuitive practice, especially to people who know yoga well, like I'm intermediate, let's say, you know all the poses and a lot of these different variations. So the idea is to bring it more into an intuitive practice. And I've really leaned towards that in a big way. But there's a problem there because people are going to not really be able to observe their tendencies and preferences. And they're going to think that doing that same old stretch, pigeon, let's just say it, pigeon and hamstring, is going to be what they need. But it's not. If your back is weak, which most people, especially yogis, it is, and you keep stretching the back, it is making it weaker. So I want you to just have some food for thought here today, yogis. I want you to start. I call it self-imposed discipline, where you have to really push yourself to get into those spaces more, those strengtheners more, those stretches more that you're not doing as often. All right. I want you to go where you don't go as much. All right. Where you're more uncomfortable on a good day, especially. So final pose here, legs go forward, head releases to floor, ideally no physical stimulation, a complete intention of resting your body, your breath, your mind. So you get really comfortable. You maybe take a deep inhale in your nose, possibly even holding the breath for a moment, sighing it out here in the end. And now just allowing your body to rest. Our final pose here, Shavasana.